What?
Let me see if we
Another
can.
car?
No, we have to pretend. All right. You have to do it with me.
Oh,
Pretend there's music.
we're supposed to do this. That's what we were supposed to do last night. We have to get in.
Yeah, I don't do it that side. I don't try to. I try to keep it like goofy. Hey guys, how's it going? This is IoT Coffee Talk. Welcome. And Stephanie and I are reporting here live.
Live.
No, pre-recorded.
Oh yeah, well we're live.
We're
not live.
We are live. And we're here in San Diego. Stephanie's here in San Diego for Qualcomm's Digital Transformation Summit. It's their
DX.
first one. DX. I had no idea DX stood for digital transformation.
And you know,
I really never knew.
And if you see CX, it's what? Customer experience.
Customer experience.
But you also see DX could be digital experience.
Yeah.
So DX could be digital
Okay.
experience or digital transformation.
Yeah, but one thing we know is X is a very, very cool, versatile letter in the alphabet, which is, I guess that's kind of cool. So, welcome. What do you think about our weather?
It's supposed to be sunny here when I come to San Diego, so I'm not sure about this cloudiness. We have a fire going on behind us. It's actually chilly in San Diego.
Yeah, and we record every Wednesday at around 8:30, and it's early and it's cold. And anyway, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I'm curious if anyone's going to be joining us today. How do you just get little messages that say, "Hey, they're coming on"?
Yeah.
Oh wow,
That's how we.
What should we talk about? Well, I mean, there's been a lot of news with Microsoft and Microsoft Build.
Yeah, but before we talk about that, so you weren't here last week, but this is like the first episode after our third anniversary episode. Isn't that incredible?
3 years. It doesn't even seem like 3 years. It seems like we just met.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? And it's not that we met through IoT Coffee Talk. It's just during the pandemic, which is when we started. As many of you know who watch the show, who know the legend of IoT Coffee Talk, we started it because of the pandemic. I mean, we originally were all going to meet in Barcelona for MWC, and it got canceled. It was like, I think, the first major industry event to get canceled, and that was back in March or late February. And and the rest is literally history.
Essentially,
right?
the whole tech conference, and all of those great events has shut us down. I mean, and they also had a hard time kind of coming up, and they're still having a hard time coming up and getting there. Except there's some exceptions that just they don't change. Yeah,
but you were just over at the big 5G,
the not so big 5G event. It seemed extremely small. The show floor was extremely small, and it was hit or miss in terms of the vendors on the show floor, in terms of them actually being in 5G or actually providing some type of product, equipment, or hardware solution in 5G. So that was interesting. But
By the way, this is so weird because I think this is like one of the first times we've ever done a single screen recording.
But Rob, when you guys were together.
No, but I think the methodology or the technique has to be different because you're usually a square, right? And you're remote, but you're like sitting right next to me, so it's like a little bit weird. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to that Stephanie right there, so that our audience,
instead of us looking like this. Okay.
That's kind of weird, right? Yeah. So, hey, Stephanie, how's it going?
I'm making it. I'm going to be here for one more day. Tomorrow actually, they don't have direct flights. They don't have enough direct flights back to Texas. So what that does is leave me here this evening after I'm done and flying home and getting home like at 6:00 tomorrow night.
Well, are you closer to Houston than Dallas? Because there are direct flights
Oh,
San Diego to Houston.
use it. The
If you
two
take
closest
United.
airports are San Antonio and Austin.
Okay.
So
you're screwed.
there's only like maybe 1 or 2 direct flights to San Antonio from.
Yeah.
It's limited.
Yeah. So let's get back to, oh, by the way, everybody, I want you to know that she says that she's an introvert. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's
very
really
weird.
big news, right?
Yeah. Actually, I'm a self-proclaimed introvert as well.
Isn't it
So-
crazy though? Like some of the most introverted people are the ones that are on screen doing these discussions, doing these talks, doing these events,
Weird.
doing these keynotes, but you
Right.
know, you got to
So-
push yourself.
Yeah, I think you do. I mean, I think that's the whole point, right? You can't let extroverts, have all the fun and take over the world. But anyways, let's get back to the events. You were at the not so big 5G event. Is that what they call it? Yeah, that
It's
is
called
really what it's called.
The big 5G event.
Yeah, which was not so big.
No, and they are going to be, they did announce that they're having it next year in the Dallas area or Addison. Well, Las Colinas, actually, to be specific. So they're
Really?
moving up that way. So maybe it'll get
okay.
back to its size that they're used to having it.
Yeah,
And Informa, right, puts that on.
yeah, Informa.
And
But
light reading.
come to think of it, it is kind of weird that they have it in Austin because most of the telco headquarters are in Dallas area.
Yeah. Well, Dallas is a pretty big hub, but I think, like South by Southwest in Austin, they have a big tech kind of portion of that event, that conference or that event.
Yeah.
And they get a lot of, there are some really big tech companies in and around. Of course, Dell pretty much runs
Dell.
that. But there's some other ones. I mean, there's some that have kind of gone up and down like SolarWinds, and some others that are a lot of up and coming, like AI and software companies, or software is kind of a hub in AI, and AI is a hub in. So you're starting to see a lot more companies pop up there. But other than that, it's everybody's really in Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, well, especially for telco.
HP in Houston.
Just a weird look.
Yeah.
To situate your.
I mean,
yourself
AT&T
there.
used to have a massive hub in San Antonio, Texas, actually, and almost all of their downtown buildings and all that, they just kind of dissolved them and they moved everything to Dallas, of course, when they moved their headquarters. And
Oh, this is
Marc.
cool. Marc. Yeah.
we actually have someone joining us today.
Joining us. It's gonna be good. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you doing?
We're together.
Good to see you both. Yes, finally. Finally you made it.
Yeah.
Yay!
I love how he like points the camera down so that you can see his Bolina shirt.
I know. It's like pure branding right there.
Oh my god.
I have a knife.
Uh-oh, wait. He's opening up
Shameless.
boxes. What are you
Oh.
opening up?
Oh,
he's
he's gonna
He's stripping.
build some cables.
Stripping cables.
Yeah. How you doing?
Good. Super busy, but good.
I know.
Yeah.
I see you all over the place. You're just like,
Yeah.
you're like creating a lot of talks and doing videos, and you've been busy. Superstar.
Yeah, indeed. I'm trying to get an expert on the Industry 4.0, Industrial IoT. So, I don't know. Let's see how it goes.
Hey,
So now I have this
Huh?
PLC.
Wow.
oh wow. Holy
So I'm trying to make it happen.
I know you will.
Yeah, that's cool.
Look, I wore my
Let's
hair
see.
like you today, Marc. Same. Got the same slick back dude.
That's
Nice.
great. You're like the real deal. You should tag us more on your posts because I know in your lessons so that we know about them and then we can help amplify.
Sure, yeah, of
Hope that
course.
you guys do. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, wow, what
totally
the hell
boring.
is this?
He's like working while we're
He's
doing the show.
in,
It's
he's
like
in the
freaking
middle of like
ridiculous, man.
creating.
Oh, we are already creating? Sorry.
We're recording. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that. But you can cut this, right? I thought
It didn't say
I
record.
thought we were just chatting,
No.
informal chatting.
Yeah. Jeez, look at this. You know that's like a German beer stunt.
It's
He
nice.
uses.
I like it.
What would you like to talk?
It is it's in the afternoon there, right? You should be drinking your afternoon beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to drive now and play basketball games. So
All right, well then
shouldn't
stay
do
safe.
that.
Hey, Steve, what's
Hey,
up, man?
Steve.
Good morning.
God,
Good morning.
we haven't seen you guys in a long time. It's good to see
Actually,
you
it's
guys.
almost lunchtime for you, right? Oh, there he goes. He's sporting the IoT Coffee
Yeah,
Talk.
but let me make sure this thing is like in.
Where the hell are you guys?
Talk amongst yourselves.
We are in the beautiful San Diego at the Qualcomm DX event, their digital transformation event that they're putting on with their partners. And later this afternoon, I'm going to do a panel on supply chain and logistics.
Oh, nice.
Going to have some systems integrators and tech companies on the call or on the panel, and then PepsiCo is going to be on the panel as well.
Oh.
So yeah, it's going to be a
What
nice.
do they do on digital transformation?
Oh my
If
God.
you can disclose.
Yeah, they actually, I had some private conversations. They're doing some really cool stuff. I did not know that PepsiCo owns the entire supply chain. So they're not using distributors or anything with all of their PepsiCo products. And, it's not just drinks, it's chips and drinks and a bunch of other snack items. But they own their entire supply chain, which is kind of insane. Most of these big retailers and they have massive distribution houses that they use, and PepsiCo owns the entire supply chain. So the female that's on my panel, her name is Anna. We have had some really interesting conversations about some of the things that they're doing to track inventory and monitor temperatures and their cold chain solutions that they're using. But yeah, so it's going to be a nice discussion this afternoon.
Hey,
Nice.
what's up?
And they do it everything themselves, or basically? Oh, sorry for asking a lot of questions, but yeah.
No, good question. She says they own everything in-house, so they're also doing everything in-house. Of course, they use partners. They're here for the Qualcomm event. They actually talked about how they moved to Qualcomm from another vendor, and they, of course, didn't tell us who it was, but we were thinking NVIDIA or something. But we had our own discussions. But it sounded as if they, they run everything internally in-house along with their partners. So of course they're going to have technology vendors that they use for different things, but maybe she'll share more about that today, this afternoon. Hopefully they're recording it. If they are, I'll send that to you guys.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Qualcomm is now a systems integrator, right? I mean, it's just, they're a professional services organization. I mean, can they take more of the stack in one house?
No, I wouldn't consider them to be an SI. Is like at this event particularly, they are bringing in all of their partners. So they have Capgemini and Tech Mahindra and Accenture and all those guys. So they really lean on those guys for a lot of the systems integration piece of it. But they do have their own in-house professionals that are definitely well versed on that side of the house, but they definitely are leaning more on a partner play for their go-to-market.
Yeah, it's more.
So there are like customers and partners all together at the same event, or it's just partners all together?
Yeah, they're bringing in some customers as well. Like PepsiCo is the only one on my panel that's an actual end customer, but they're going to have customers, and then they're going to be doing like these little quick 15-minute pitches, and they're going to have. And each one of those is going to be an SI that's speaking, but they're going to have they may have their customer with them. I don't know, but there's a good deal of customers that'll be in the audience as well.
Yeah.
I know several people that Qualcomm Smart Cities is beaten out on deals. So it's interesting you say that, because their Smart Cities group, as we know, we've been to our events before, and they'll take deals direct.
Yeah.
They have, about 4 years ago, they launched they had their Smart Cities event. That's their Smart Cities Summit.
Right.
And that was when they formally announced they were actually onboarding a whole host of partners in different city and smart city vendors and folks that provide public sector solutions. And they were onboarding all of them. And we were like, okay, that's great to onboard them. Now, what are you going to do? What are you actually going to do with these vendors? And then they started pre-packaging solutions. So they do have some kind of canned packages that they are going to market with these vendors. And it's been a while since I've been briefed on how things are going. But again, it's systems integrators, it's some of the vendors that are major government and public sector, fed, state, and local contractors and subcontractors that are leading the conversation and then pulling in Qualcomm as their go-to vendor for specific chipsets and hardware that they're using. So yeah.
When you guys are out there and you hear that, it'd be interesting to get an update from you on what you hear about their professional services and SI capabilities. Yes, they have been bringing people in, but I'm telling you, they have won some major smart cities deals direct, where they are the prime in those deals, and they're doing the work. So it'd be interesting to find out what you hear.
Yeah, I think they're trying to be pretty flexible. They did open themselves up to becoming prime and being sort of the SI lead in a lot of ways, or the consultative lead in some instances. Actually taking the risk of being that one throat to choke.
Yeah, of course.
And they have some select software vendors as well that they're bringing.
Yeah.
Into the mix. So it's more of they're taking a lead and forming a portfolio that they can go to market with, but not necessarily committing to any particular partner, just really looking at the client circumstance, because, as Steve and everyone here, each city and environment is different. And everyone has different vendor preferences, technology preferences, so they're keeping things flexible. But yeah, I mean, that was like a really big change for them. That was like 2 years ago. But yeah, it's interesting to hear from you, Steve, that you're hearing about wins. But as we always say, winning is one thing, executing,
delivering is another.
Yeah.
The other area,
but they could just throw money at it, though, Leonard. That it does help.
Hey, it's a city, dude.
The other thing is, I actually was able to get into their portal because way back when I was doing some speaking events for their smart city stuff, and they gave me access, so I was able to log into their portal and see they have a lot of VARs that are signed up as part of their smart cities partnership. So all of these VARs, a lot of times own the relationship with some of these, especially at the local and regional level. And so those relationships are so key. And they knew that in order to get to the customer, they needed to partner with some of these regional players. They may not even be as well known, but those cities work with those guys and they work with them all the time. They've been working with them on their general IT stuff. So when we talk about IoT and some of these other things, it was just a natural fit. And so they've signed a lot of those VARs on, and those guys are, integral to their strategy.
Yeah, we pitched them on a SKU to help their smart cities group with basically doing I hate to say a seminar, but a city seminar where the city departments would come in and we would go through a checklist of use cases and applications to try and get them all to buy in before they went to budget to do those things, because it was all an emotional roller coaster for sure.
Just the person I was thinking of on this topic.
Speaking of smart cities.
Yeah. Now we can all be quiet.
Yeah, and where the hell were you guys last week, including her? I mean, that was our third year anniversary.
I was in happy Cartagena. All right, I'd much rather be there than where you were.
Of course, I was actually at my son was having an end of this, like they have this official event when the juniors become seniors, and I just couldn't miss that.
Yeah,
couldn't miss that event, so he's now a senior.
Well, we missed you guys. 3
years. Wow.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
Yep.
Incredible.
Yeah. What's up, Bill? Where you been?
What's up, people?
Oh, he's been traveling. He's been at all these places. You were in Nashville?
I was in Chattanooga. Denver, a couple of places in Texas, San Jose.
Jeez.
Yeah. It was 6 weeks. 6 weeks of travel.
Now he's home.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brutal.
I did 2 weeks, and I don't want to travel for another month or so.
Yeah. That last night was the first night in my own bed in 3. So I was pretty happy to get home from South America.
Y'all are better than I.
Yeah.
I left the house and went to Seattle for the day, and I am so exhausted. I can't do this.
Shut up, dude.
You know what? Last week I couldn't attend because I was giving a talk at the same time of the IoT Coffee Talk,
IoT World.
I was giving 2 talks last week, and both of them were virtual. And people
Really?
was like, "Oh, where are you traveling to give this talk?" And I was like, "No, it's virtual. It's." And then they were like looking at me super like weird, like, "What? Virtual? Still? This still exists?"
Virtual's where it's at.
Yeah, virtual is where it's at. Yeah. So, hey, Bill, we were just talking about smart cities and Qualcomm Smart City Initiative and stuff, and some of the ways that they had announced they were going to market like a year ago or 2 years ago, and Steve was talking about how he's seen some wins on their part. What are you saying?
I'm not seeing much of anything, and I'll tell you why. Predominantly because look, I believe that their technology and their capabilities, technologically, speaking, are solid. But they're at such a low level, it's hard to demonstrate that it was a Qualcomm win. When in actuality, it's a cellular carrier, telco win. That's just the way that I see it. I mean, I definitely see much more in the way of I see LoRa and LoRaWAN actually doing something, which is, I think it's good, but it still has its specific place. If you need data, small bits of data, not streaming, not real time, that kind of thing, then it's perfect. Like water metering and things like that. It's perfect. It's a low cost network that actually gets the job done. Yeah. I believe that Qualcomm has support for LoRaWAN, if I'm not mistaken. But
sort of. They don't really talk much about LoRaWAN.
Yeah, I can't imagine they do.
I haven't
maybe like 5G or Wi-Fi backhaul, that kind of stuff.
Or maybe pulling in one of their partners.
Yeah, partners.
Not with Semtech competing against them on a chipset standpoint.
I mean, but here's what I'm seeing. So when we talk about module providers, right? Like, I mean, QuickTel is by far and above my favorite. I mean, I've known those guys since they were 30 people, and now they're the 800-pound gorilla. But they are launching solutions in the quote unquote smart space that include all transports. Yeah. And that's why I thought I thought Qualcomm might have had something, in the, LP WAN space, because that's what QuickTel is doing. But QuickTel fixes a lot of the bugs that they find when they release a new chipset, because, they fix it and they tag it. And then as Qualcomm catches up, they remove the tags and remove that support. But I mean, I think we're going to see a lot more this year across the board in IoT and smart city solutions. And just let me do this. I said it in my post. I'm going to say it again. Chattanooga is killing it.
Oh, really? I didn't see that post.
I saw that and I'm like, okay, now I want to hear more, because would you ever think that? Would you
ever? And I mean, like, I knew that they were doing things, but you know how I think I've been like on a rant about the fact that you really can't have a smart city unless you have a smart grid. So in essence, the city and the utility need to work together.
Yeah.
And there are a number of, in Texas, you have it, right? Austin Austin Energy is owned by Austin, but they don't collaborate in the way that you would think they would. In Chattanooga, EPB, which is the utility, literally helped the city establish their broadband strategy, and then chipped in. So public public, private, public, private. I mean, you name it. All of those partnerships, right? I'm saying public partnership, private partnership, and then private public partnerships. They've got them across the board.
Bill, it's very incestuous, I hear.
It is. I mean, there's some entanglements going on.
We should just chime in. Tom, what's going on over there? I see you giggling.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah. How are you guys? All right. So you're at the Qualcomm event?
Yes.
Yeah.
Today, yes.
And
how's it going?
we don't know yet.
We did a little bit of networking and had a beverage last night. That's all we've done so far.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Crazy week. There's like Microsoft Build. There's Dell Tech World. I'm doing Honeywell Connect again. There's this. So it's insanity.
Where's the Honeywell Connect?
Honeywell Connect was virtual.
Oh,
so they announced some new smart building stuff enabled by Forge. So,
and you can. There's a lot of stuff online right now with Microsoft Build. Massive announcements yesterday. Lots of AI nonsense.
Tons of. Yeah, I mean, dude, talk about heavy Kool-Aid. I mean, when you listen to the Satya Nadella keynote, you just like going, it really is hard to, you almost feel like, oh my God, this is just incredible, right? But then I all yesterday I sat in sessions and you start to realize, oh my God, okay, so I've seen that tool before. They're just putting lipstick on it. Oh, and then back ending it with an LLM, but then training the LLM is like friggin' hard. And so, you know what, man, if so folks listening out there, if you think this shit is easy, you're in for a big surprise. Straight up.
It is easy for creating fraud and crime
for them.
And nonsense and
it's
misinformation.
For that. That's the problem. And the other thing is that, you know, both Microsoft and Google have a twisted view on what responsible AI is as they describe it, it sounds a lot more like ethical AI. I mean, you know, they break it down and say, here are the components, but then it's like, that's ethical AI. What about responsible AI? And that includes the vendor. Right? Are they responsible in releasing, safe and quality tools and platforms? That's part of responsible AI.
Well, the KPI is not responsibility, it's speed. So just ship it.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out later.
MVP, baby.
Well, it's almost like we went through this whole wave of nonsense with IoT, you know, with the branding, like everything was branded.
Yeah.
And same thing with Edge. Everything was branded that way. Now it's not just branded.
Metaverse.
You got Microsoft and Google, like not only going and pushing that brand like crazy, but they're also allowing it into every bit of their software on the developer side, as well as the end user side, and just letting it in and putting it in all of their software.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let it in. We'll figure it out later. And that's where we're just like, the risk is insane.
I predict that before the year ends, at some smart city conference, some guy's going to be on stage and it's going to call mesh topology AI, and the bill is going to rush him like from right on the stage and just clock somebody. Because it's the new IoT. Just grab your stuff from 15 years ago, put AI in front of it, and it's awesome.
Well, that seems to be the only way, David, you're going to make any money with AI.
No, you make money off of courses. Think about like simulation. MIT, Harvard, all these guys had, as soon as Bitcoin and blockchain and crypto became a thing, first thing they did was start courses on it and charge thousands of dollars. And then you had everybody and their whatever dog come up with a get rich on crypto or how to create a disruptive blockchain application, and those are the people who made all the money. You know, I mean, honestly, we all have to be honest here. This isn't bullshit. This is
I have a question.
Metaverse, same thing. Who made all the money? It's like these people do coursework, and then now it's prompt engineering. And then if you really look at what prompt engineering is, it's like, wait a minute. I really need to, what you need to do is like, it's not about people just screwing around with ChatGPT. You actually need to test and understand the disconnect between how humans communicate and how the machine communicates. But then this thing is always evolving. And it's also can be very specific.
Marc is very entertained.
So
He
this
smiles.
prompt engineering stuff, when you see these courses and these people putting these things out, it's just like, really? And anyone who buys into this stuff just really is not doing the research that we're doing.
I put my life savings on a Rick Bullotta NFT, and it seems like I'm not going to be able to retire before I'm like 100.
Oh my God. Thanks, Rick.
Where does he come up with this stuff?
Wow.
Because you're talking about the horses and Web3 and the metaverse and all these scams. It's nuts. But look, all jokes aside, like seriously, if I can say one serious thing.
No, you can't.
No, I have.
IoT Coffee Talk. That's serious.
If we collectively, we are going to be in a world of hurt if folks don't have the capacity to like read something objectively and question. Just that. Like if we don't have basic comprehension, basic critical thinking, people are going to get fooled because what's out there is pretty good if you don't know what you're looking at. That's the thing. Leonard, Irish whiskey, please.
I think we are in the same situation than 10 years ago with the IoT, right? Everyone was an expert. IoT will solve the wall. Everything will be connected, and so on, right? And everyone was an expert.
But we didn't have IoT as it's going to threaten, the reality that of all the media that we're consuming and all the news and all of the things that we're doing with our enterprise. We didn't have that threat and that risk and that the possibility of just wreaking havoc on our country, on our globe. That's what that technology didn't provide. That AI. I mean, AI introduces a lot of fear, things that could happen that.
But you had this Die Hard movie, the third part or the fourth part, I don't remember. No, that they have
the Die Hard movie,
Terminator.
That's right, and this was because it was connected to. So, I mean, no, even the Hollywood was proving that IoT was a threat for the world or for the country. So.
I mean, but that's still a true point, though. I mean, I believe it 100% is the lack of diligence when applying cybersecurity as a foundational layer. The AI piece, I just think is absolutely ridiculous because you're running with no guardrails and. You're making assumptions that people are going to act responsibly when the very first thing someone wants to see is how far can I go?
Well, the other thing too, I've been questioned a lot lately, and I was in Cincinnati at a large client last week, and the question that came up was, who owns the data?
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's been forever.
Where does the data go? How does it get processed? Do the people who create this stuff even know?
And who owns it?
What happens? Because a lot of it is boxish, and you can, and unless it's a very, especially, and I want to make a distinction here. The public stuff, like the Bing and the Bard and stuff that they're putting out and trying to front end the internet with or the web with, that's the stuff where the guardrail tools and the tuning stuff, I highly doubt that it's going to be able to rein in the impact of humanity, which is going back to what we've said many, many times on the show. If you know about the history of the web, in the back end, it's super dirty. There is nothing. Let's put it this way. Jesus Christ and the Bible do not rank on the top of the list of things people look for on the web, right? And it's I don't think these guys are prepared or have the tools to control control these models, man. And that's one thing, okay, and that's risk at a different level. Below, when we start to look at how enterprises might be able to leverage the technology, there's just going to be a whole bunch of disappointment, because this stuff is real. I mean, for them to train any of these GPTs, it's a tremendous amount of expertise and energy, okay, and time and investment. And all of that to produce a technology and these foundational models that are not that good.
I kind of equate
You know what I'm saying?
I kind
It's
of
like crazy.
equate it to folks that really want wireless connectivity and they want
Count on
5G,
it.
but they end up going with
use
private 5G because they can't trust anything else that's out there, and they know it's risky. And so it's like with enterprises, will we get to a point where they say, yes, we do want to embrace AI, but we want to only embrace the data that we are creating and the models that we have.
That's right.
And all of the data maybe we've been collecting forever, and we just know, we're like, what have we been doing with any of that data? Well, maybe there is a chance for us to actually leverage AI in a smart way that pulls in our private data, and it's only used by our internal employees.
If you are able to, Stephanie, if you're able to get it, if you're able to access your private data in the cloud, right? I mean, so if you use AI tools with your private data, produce it for your customer or for your own company, do you really own that data?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't generated in-house.
No. But yeah, I guess it's who owns the data is who's storing the data. I don't know.
Something on a different level.
Yeah.
Anyways, a lot of these are question marks, and I think people are going, head first with this thing, and not stepping back and asking the important questions. Not only enterprises but consumers as well, right? And what I think is really funny is everyone goes, "Oh, ChatGPT is so successful." And it's like, by what measure?
The number of people using it.
It's like, okay, well, my question is this: is curiosity is a curiosity something that's sustainable, right? Because I think most people are using this thing or creating accounts because they're curious about it.
Yeah. I mean, I pay the $20 a month just because of that.
Making money.
But so I'm going to go back to something that Elon said in his interview with David Farber last Tuesday on CNBC, that he was the initial $50 million investor in open. It doesn't matter, whatever. Okay. And it was supposed to be open source and free, right? It was an educational thing that he started for $50 million before they decided to do the for-profit scenario. If it stayed open source and available to the world, would we be having a different conversation about AI today?
No.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
Why not?
Yeah,
it would be. As a matter of fact, the open source end of it exacerbates the situation from my perspective.
Okay. How, Bill?
Well, I mean, look, if it's open, all right, let's go back to the open source attack on the cloud, right? That was when, what was it? SolarWinds, right? They had that. That's an open source thing. And if you think that, and I mean, who's going to maintain open source? Who's going to take care of it? Who's going to monitor it? Who's going to manage it? Everybody's the whole deal with it is that you're contributing. You make modifications, you contribute back. Who's auditing any of that?
That's a massive problem. I was having a conversation last night with Tim Crawford, who's here at this event, and he said that he had a meeting. He does a lot of fractional CIO work, and he's in tune with a lot of the CIOs, and they had a meeting with the head of the EU, who's managing the regulatory side of AI, and they're way more serious about this than we are in the States. And he said that they had a big group of CIOs that were on the call, And there was a consensus that they're not embracing it. And the other consensus is massive guidelines. And you talked about guide wires, and that they just don't see them opening up their systems, their software, and their employees to generative AI, right? Because of the risk, and that they're not ready for it, and they're getting serious about it. Meanwhile, we're here in the States, and there's only been a few like congressional meetings on it, and those have been like
it's a joke.
Yeah. And these things they're gonna pass us by before any regulatory or requirements or anything that someone's holding someone accountable for. So
let's not get into politics, but we have other priorities politically.
Exactly.
Let's just say that, right? There's
a lot. There's a lot of things that are taking over priority.
More pressing. But another bit also with your comments on where does the data go, and I think this was the Samsung debate also. What happens when you take a public model and you upload private data to do something? Then right? I mean, in this case, we know the answer is good luck. There is no answer. Like the data is just out there. Yeah. And I was it was too long of a read. I was tired, but I was looking at
You're frozen, dude.
Did I freeze?
Yeah, but it's okay. Keep going.
It's us.
So I was wondering if maybe at least outside of the U.S. where GDPR has teeth, if there could at least be like people get fined and because it's costing them money, they will have to, I don't know, at least delete the data that was uploaded. But we have nothing like that in the U.S.
Okay, so upload what data, David? Where is the morality of it start and stop?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's a moral issue. I think that the example I'm thinking about, I think it was someone from Samsung that uploaded, asking questions to GPT, effectively loaded private data.
Yeah, the confidential corporate.
Into the model. So that's the example that I was using, Steve, and that data, it's out there, and it's one of those. It's one of those things we're not going to know if it's going to hurt them one way or another for years.
That's a good point. Yeah. Well, I saw that yesterday that Microsoft at MS Build, they announced that, one of the, I guess, out of all the data, one of the big things is about pictures themselves and remember we were talking about how do we, the metadata that's behind it and how do we actually know whether that picture is real or not, and what are they going to do about that? And they announced using some kind of cryptographic watermarking on the images that essentially sources it and actually says this was generated through a generative AI tool. So it's not a real picture. And so I'm like, okay, they're thinking about, how do we mark and have a trail that shows this is real versus something that was completely created by software. I just didn't see how that was actually going to be. They're still going to use those images as saying this is fact. Yeah. How are we as citizens and readers of content going to be able to disseminate all of that? Yeah, how do we
I know on say on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, you have like a sponsored post, which will be clear, right? Like if I'm being sponsored by a brand that's out there. But in some cases we're just we just react to things too quickly that I don't think, like, even if we did that, like this image was generated by a language it's almost going to be missed. I mean, wasn't there a fire at the Pentagon the other day?
Right. And the cost and the energy and the lag of raining that kind of false impression back is tremendous, and that's the problem. The thing is that fake content has much higher velocity and, unfortunately, veracity. It's fake, but it in itself and its fakeness it sticks.
Damage is already done.
To undo that damage, it takes thousands of times more effort. You know what I'm saying?
They always
what's really
bad. They always talked about our next big war being a cyber war. well, can you imagine the power of these cyber criminals leveraging and using AI to just create havoc within the grid or within a city, within infrastructure that's so important to our existence?
The stock market.
I know if I see something about like Chick-fil-A giving free chicken sandwiches, like I'm on my way. And everyone that I would know, and it would create like traffic and people like fighting, and then you get there and it's not free. Now we're upset. It's gonna suck.
Riot.
Don't mess with my Chick-fil-A.
Burning down Chick-fil-A's.
Oh my god! See, now that's a moral issue, David. That's a moral issue.
We could all learn a lot from Chick-fil-A and their supply chain.
But hey, you know what, Marc? I want to know from you. When we were bringing up the whole open source thing. What's your argument against it? That it would have made a difference, or do you know?
Last week I was in a really interesting conversation about certifications. So how to move hardware certifications into software? No, because we are super worried about certifications on hardware products.
Yeah.
But why no? So if you're an American company and you want to sell your software in Europe, what? So it could be interesting to say you need the CE certification for your software, and the CE certification of your software brings some things implicit that completes the GDPR, but as well, you can do that, or use these tools, or so. And I thought that was super interesting. I don't know, it's just food for thinking. But I'm not sure, what name needs to have, etc. But it's related, I think, with what we were talking here. I think, we need. The problem is that regulations arrive too late, probably. But something like that can be interesting. And I think I said like 20 episodes ago that we need Web3 to solve all of this mess about generative AI. Everything it's connected.
That's an interesting point, because if AI is smart enough to do all of this, can't AI be smart enough to identify that it's an AI generated? Like the certification piece is important. I like the watermarking piece. I think the metadata piece, but again, I worry about the lag, the timing, and the damage that's already going to be done after the fact. Is what kind of real time information is actually processed to identify?
But that was possible 20 years ago with Photoshop or what was available. You could create a fake picture as well. No, I mean, distribute it on the media.
I think the thing is, it's a lot easier now, right? With generative AI. I think.
But as well, people is more educated, on fake news.
Yeah. Yes.
So some people can trust, but some others can say, no, I don't trust these. Let me check other sources if this is real or not.
Yeah, and we're moving.
I think education is key here as well.
We're moving from 2D to 3D. So you've got like an image that's moving, speaking, talking, and it sounds like her. It looks like her. It looks like the background where she lives. So it's like
deep fake.
All of that. The deep fake has gotten extremely insane.
Yeah. I think my view on this is from an open source perspective. If you look at like the background of Linux, right, over 31 years, most enterprise companies are now running Linux systems in some way. If ChatGPT wasn't a for-profit business and it had this peer-based monitoring system where people actually wanted it to do the right thing, it would be quicker than regulations, because they would just take too long to come out, and it might actually harness it by the people for the people in a good way, right? But the problem is it's too late for that, and it's here, it's already there. And I don't know who owns data,
The functions, though, I'm following your train of thought there, but the functions, right? I mean, if you look at Linux was just that. It was an operating system that you built on top of, right?
Yeah.
You had a tool chain, you had ways to audit that. This whole generative AI stuff has no guardrails whatsoever.
Done.
And that is the problem. Yeah, that is the problem. But
and Bill, what would be the governmental agency that would control that? Who would put up the guardrails?
I don't think that there is currently any government agency that can put up guardrails.
That's a part of the conversation. It's not an FCC issue. Is it an FTC issue?
Homeland
Potentially, but I mean,
Why
but I
not?
don't know.
Homeland
What's the problem?
security, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a world issue. It's
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
is.
Well, true, but if someone's going to make governmental regulations and guardrails like we were talking about before, I want to know who the hell is running that department.
Well, you're going to have the likes of NIST. You're going to have ISO. You're going to have IEEE. You're going to have. I mean, you need a consortium of those bodies to actually all agree that we're all going to do the same thing, and have it implemented that way. And Stephanie, I think what you said it had me thinking. If generative AI can be used for nefarious things, why can't we use generative AI to catch those nefarious things? That's like taking money out of your left pocket, putting it in your right.
You know, anyone that has 2+ kids know that doesn't work, because one kid covers for the other. Okay, if you have 2 children, you know that's not going to stick.
I can't even get over the
comment of this whole which government agency, and again, just tongue in cheek here is coming. Can we get a government agency where the average age is not 2,000 years and they understand what's happening? Because that's another problem.
Yeah,
Pick your agency and look.
And you know what, David? You bring up an interesting point. So last week I was in Cartagena for a wedding, and I wanted.
Colombia, you mean?
Yeah, and I wanted to try and do a little survey with all the under 30 kids that were at this wedding. And I said, how many of you have been on ChatGPT or done anything AI related? Guess what the answer was?
100%.
All of them.
No.
No.
It's us.
No.
Us, our
They
generation.
are not on ChatGPT. They don't even have a freaking account. They don't even have a log.
You know what,
the
Steve?
heck it is.
Here's the problem, Steve. I don't believe you. Let me tell you why. Because Snapchat is one of the most common chat platforms they use. And guess what? It's inside the software.
They don't know that shit, Stephanie. That's the thing.
That's what I mean. It's in there and they're using it, and they're not calling it ChatGPT. They're using the software. They're using it in the app. It's built. It's inherent.
Yeah,
I agree with you, 100%.
but explicitly using the tool. Yes, you're right. And actually,
right.
Most people that I agree with you. There's a lot of people who are talking about, generative AI who have actually never used the tools, and they don't know what it's good at and what it's bad at. Right. And
absolutely,
they certainly don't understand the underlying technology. And you hear all the time people confusing ChatGPT with GPT 4, 3.5, and then transformer models, and they just don't understand that stack. Which is, I mean, you can't blame people, but the thing is that you really need to know that entire stack in order to understand what the technology can do and what's realistic on the end use side, and what's completely disconnected from reality, as you hear people talk about it, right? And the disconnects are just it's like massive, right? People going around saying this is going to be so transformative. It's like, really? Do you understand? There's a thing called cost.
And I don't know if it's and I don't know. I mean, I do know
the value you think it can actually deliver.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I do know that Snapchat had announced that they were implementing it within their tools.
That's creepy.
I don't know about TikTok yet, but you think about today's youth. In the States, I know there are different trends in different countries, parts of the world, but Snapchat is very, very popular in the States, and it's in their software now. I don't know about TikTok yet, but could be there too.
Yeah, a lot of
the average 20-something-year-old person does not know that.
Steve, for scientific purposes, were you doing your survey on the dance floor with these 30-year-old people? Like,
there's not a.
Do you use GPT?
You know what?
No?
That video will not be public, David. I can assure you. Okay, I can assure you. Of that.
Oh my God, it's gonna be like the Elon Musk shuffle.
Steve Ballmer. Steve
You know what?
Ballmer.
It's a new one called the Walker for us old people.
Oh my! Oh, there you go.
Just remember, Steve, that the tennis balls at the corners of the wall, they have to be different colors and with lights.
I want to
That's what
see
gets you all
Steve
the
drop it
ladies.
like it's hot with that Walter.
Oh my god.
All right, guys,
Oh,
we got to go. Oh my God, it's already time.
all right.
Anyone want to take us out? This is
I'll
fun.
do it.
This is a really good conversation.
It's been a minute. Folks, you're here. You have made it through another amazing, incredible, and educational episode of IoT Coffee Talk, the most consistent and awesome, informative, non-AI generated show you could possibly watch. Thank you for
sure about
sticking
that?
with us.
Are you sure about that?
We love
Exactly,
you.
Mark. Exactly.
We need you. We're closing into like the billion subscriber on our YouTube channel. If you're not subscribing, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell the people at Chick-fil-A about this podcast and stay on top of things. So with that, we wish you a great week. Thank you for listening. Find us at iotcoffeetalk.com, on your favorite platform for podcasts, on the interwebs, in and out of near galaxies. Thank you for being here and keep it safe. Go do some reading. Peace out.
Peace out.
And donate to elevateourkids.org,
Yeah.
people.
And get your
Yes.
T-shirt.
Yes.
Good. All right.